Thank you, gentlemen, for yielding. Ms. Kuster, you recognized.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just to pick up right there, I very much appreciate the progress that is being made by the VA on the opioid epidemic, and I hope that we can spread those new alternative pain management strategies not only within the VA, but frankly within the private sector as well. I just want to revisit briefly this issue because I think certainly my constituents, but I think constituents across this country were so shocked and concerned to read today about this issue that your department had only spent 1% of the $6 million for suicide prevention. We've had a little bit more than that today. You say that you're doing your best, but what I'm concerned about is that that can't be true when we have so many leadership vacancies at key posts in the VA related to these programs. What are you going to do about getting the right people in the right place? And I just want to give you one chance to revisit Mr. O'Rourke's question, because we can't really respond here in our oversight function to the concept of doing your best if we don't know what your goals are. And you talk about the majority of the suicides are committed by people outside the system. That's true. That's our frustration. How do we bring them into the system?
As Dr. Lieberman said, we began to move when I became acting. The vacancy that you talked about at the head of the Suicide Prevention Office was immediately filled by me, by making permanent the
And does
position.
that person have the staff that they need
Yes.
on board?
And also the expertise as having been the leader at the Department of Defense in the Suicide Prevention Office.
We're in the
So is
process
that
of hiring more
program
staff
totally-
for them, just for the record.
Yeah, we are in the
I'm
process.
sorry, there are other vacancies and you're in the process of hiring
We're
for
building
that
a
program?
larger office underneath this individual, so we're hiring more people to support her.
And
Does that program have functional capacity at all the VISNs around the country as well?
They certainly work with all the VISNs. The VISNs have their own responsibility to roll out and work with her what ideas are coming out. I also just want to let you know that we really are focusing in a new way on the high-risk veteran populations, both within VHA and the ones outside. And so, number one, there was an executive order to work on transitioning veterans, and so we've been working with DOD on that. The other than honorable, we've been working on that since 2017, but this week, and the rest of the month, we're actually mailing out letters to the over 500,000 other than honorable, encouraging them to come to us to seek whether they're eligible for care here in mental health. And we're also looking at the reserve and the guard that have never served. They've been identified recently. As our data gets mature, we can identify more at-risk populations, and they're at risk. And so we do mobile vet center outreaches to them on the weekends when they're doing their drills. And we are reaching out to leadership in those areas. And then finally, another risk that we identified recently was that if a veteran came to the emergency room in the prior 3 months and had just a little bit of suicidal ideation, not enough to have to admit them or that if we did research and we found that if we made a suicide safety plan with them, where if they're having suicidal thoughts, what are they going to do? Are they going to call a loved one? Are they going to call their therapist? Are they going to listen to music? What are they going to do? And it's been shown to reduce the suicide rate by 50%. And so what we've done is we actually implemented this rapidly at all our VAs across the country. So we're really trying new novel things as they come along.
Well, and I think the research is important. My time is running short. I had another question about the whole issue under the VA Mission Act and the designated access standards, but I guess I'll just leave it at this. New Hampshire is one of the rare states without a full-service VA hospital, and I think we're all trying to find this balance of care at the VA, and if that's not possible, then care within the community. But I would just use New Hampshire as a cautionary tale, and the problems that we had recently at Manchester when the level of care drops below what is necessary for a robust VA going forward. And I think that was the point that Senator Sanders was making, and I think it's instructive as we move forward. But at that, I'll yield back.
And I would just add, I agree with you completely about suicide. I mentioned that I was in and out of the VA as acting, and then had to go back to DOD and wait confirmation. In my first week, I laid down the first path on the suicide issue. I'll tell you, there's nothing more important, and there's nothing more tragic. And you have my commitment that as long as I'm privileged to be part of the VA team, that will continue to be the case.
If I could, one quick second. I've been in Congress for 6 years. You are our 5th VA secretary in those 6 years. So I appreciate your personal commitment. I have literally heard that 5 times, and veterans are dying every single day. So we will hold you to the commitment. We will want to know the metrics. I appreciate the innovative solutions, and we'll look forward to continuing.